Welcome back. I'm Jack Bradley. The Trump administration announcing new steps this week to crack down on healthcare fraud. Health Secretary RFK Jr. says Medicare fraud drained billions of dollars from American taxpayers over the decades. Joining me now to discuss this is Cooke, attorney and Republican National Committee surrogate. Thanks so much for joining us. I want to get to this new measures. The federal government is now withholding nearly $260 million in Medicaid payments to Minnesota until an investigation is completed. It's also putting a nationwide moratorium on Medicare enrollment for certain medical equipment suppliers. What's your reaction to these new measures?
Well, thank God for President Trump and the fact that we're finally taking fraud seriously. I think Elon Musk was really the tip of the spear when he was able to go into government and actually expose that federal government had so much fraud, waste, and abuse. And if it occurred in federal government where he was able to doge, it was only a matter of time where states were also impacted. And the worst part about this is we're talking about a welfare system, which is really supposed to be helping the American people. So regardless of your politics, not only what we've seen in Minnesota, but so many states across the country, we're seeing government basically dump dollars onto individuals, whether they're citizens or not, for services that are not required. And the auditing system is so broken across our country. So when you look at the billions of dollars of fraud, I'm not shocked, because what we were doing is paying now and oversight later. And what President Trump is demanding is oversight first. Trust but verify. Make sure that the individuals asking for welfare, first of all, qualify for it, that they're U.S. citizens, and then we're actually giving the services that are needed and required. So I think every state needs to be audited. This isn't a blue state or a red state issue. This is across the country. And it was created under every single government because we continued to put money out without oversight and employees that were actually checking to see if services were rendered.
And this approach obviously is aiming to be more proactive than reactive, preventing fraud rather than catching it later on. How has this fraud been allowed to proliferate this much over the years?
Well, a lot of times what states are doing is they're immediately sending funding out or checks out. I can tell you in the state of Ohio in particular, I had whistleblowers who came to me to state that there were individuals that were asking for home health services. And when you think of home health, it is immediately shielded because individuals are self-reporting. They're going to doctors that were rubber stamping paperwork for Medicaid. And in Ohio and many other states, you are allowed to take care of your loved ones so that they aren't going to nursing homes. And while that's very compassionate, it's ripe for fraud. So you had providers that were rubber stamping paperwork for individuals that did not need it. It's prevalent. We're the second largest Somalian population in the United States of America, right here in Columbus, Ohio. So these individuals are not only getting paper rubber stamped for family members that don't need it, they're making $75,000 to $90,000 per individual. You add two family members, that's $180,000. You add in-laws, you're making $250,000 for individuals that never needed home health care. So it's being rubber stamped. The approvals are not being double checked. Audits are not occurring. And I think that there's also kickbacks occurring because some of these providers were offered money if they would just rubber stamp paperwork. So this is just one case of many. Nick Shirley has exposed so much in Minnesota, in California. We're seeing this in Maine as well. It's an oversight and bureaucratic issue because government loves to spend taxpayer money with no accountability.
And these new measures that we're seeing coming out of the Trump administration, do you think more like this is what we need? Or are there going to be more drastic measures that the administration is going to have to take down the road?
I think that the first phase is absolutely using AI to start detecting fraud. It's to make sure that we have enough employees that are actually looking at oversight. It's making sure we're not immediately paying, that we're pausing many of these programs to see where the money is going out. And also, one of the biggest things that I saw is creating a website so that when we know that companies are on a fraud alert or have been conducting fraud, we all can look at them. We can all say in the states, we're not going to be engaging with these companies. And the biggest red flag for fraud is when you have one service that starts to exceed everything else. You saw it in Minnesota for autism services. A lot of times it's translation services. We've seen that in Maine. So I think we really need to start auditing every time dollars are going out and doing independent verification and testing. And that's exactly what the administration is saying. We'll pay for services that are valid. We'll make sure that US citizens are actually getting the services that they need. And taxpayers are all for footing the me that said that state government was ignoring the fact that they were reporting fraud and that it was rampant in the Somalian community, Nepalese, and even Bhutanese community. Many of these communities come to America. I can speak, at least in Columbus, Ohio. They tend to be isolated. They tend not to speak English. And then they tend to get translation services and figure out systems on how they can get onto welfare. So when I realized that the government wasn't doing anything, I immediately started researching it. I started reaching out to home health care services and I started asking questions. And I was met with immediate vitriol. And I have to ask anybody if you've seen videos of me just knocking on a door and asking questions or being cornered by four Somalian men and being threatened and asked why I'm investigating or asking questions. If this is where you would leave your loved ones, whether it's a daycare center or what I was looking for is also home health care. And I am looking at this because I really believe that these are our taxpayer dollars. And if government isn't going to do anything, then citizen journalists and attorneys need to start raising their hand and putting it on social media. And the payments need to stop. My objective is for the president and his administration to stop payments in our state as well, the state of Ohio, until we have complete audits of what's happening. Because I think government has turned their back on so many hardworking Ohioans today.
Well, thank you for sharing your insights with us, Mehek Cooke. We'll be paying attention to this story very closely. Thank you.